back to The Locker Room. I'm your host, Jake Homan. Here today I have two guests with me. We have Connor Lomis, and we have a new special guest, Cade Crenshaw, making his first debut in The Locker Room. Thanks a lot for coming on the show today, guys.
No problem. Of course.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First off, this past Monday night, we saw the Lions and the Packers face off, and there was a few controversial calls late in that game that ended up potentially costing the Lions that game. We saw two illegal hands to the face calls on defensive end Trey Flowers late in the game that eventually gave the Green Bay Packers the win by going down that field and kicking the game-winning field goal to win by 1. A lot of people were fed up with the viewers and the fans. Obviously, if Detroit, I would be upset too. The thing is what do you think about reviewing penalties like that? Because we already know that pass interference is reviewable as of this year because of the NFC Championship controversy we saw last year at the Saints game. But yeah, going forward, do you think that all penalties should be reviewable? I'll start with you, Connor.
All right. I do think that penalties should probably be reviewable, and not necessarily to the point where it slows down the game, that every penalty is reviewed. I don't think that's not football anymore at that point. I think that penalties should be able to be challenged by coaches. I think that in late game situations and situations like, you know, the end of that New Orleans game a year ago or the end of this Monday night game against the Packers in Detroit, you know, I think situations like that, game-changing situations, referees should be able to take the initiative and say, hey, this needs to be reviewable. This is something we need to check out. It's much like the under 2-minute rule almost in like the fourth quarter, the end of quarters and things. When officials can, you know, review any play that they think is questionable, it'll be the same situation with penalties, except not an actual play, really. So I think that's a good thing to definitely consider. And I think that when you have officials in higher, you know, LA studios that are, you know, looking at these calls and looking at these penalties over and over and disagreeing with referees that are on the field that are making the initial call and the ultimate call that is the outcome of it, I think that's a major problem. And I think that should be something the NFL looks into, and I think that they should ultimately, you know, make penalties reviewable all around.
All right, what do you think, Kate?
You know, refereeing is a very difficult job. You've got so many different moving parts, so many different bodies at one time, and you're trying to find something that goes wrong. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of intense moments there. So they're going to miss things. It happens. That's throughout football. We know that's going to happen. But when we sit here and we're talking about the bad calls of a game versus maybe how great Monday night's game was, that's a problem for the NFL. And it's becoming an epidemic to where even in the NFC Championship game last year, we have the Rams and the Saints. And what a game-changing call that was. And it kept one team out of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We're talking about the grandest stage of them all here. It comes down to one yellow hanky.
Yeah.
It's a problem for the league. I think they need to make some changes and not review every play. That's one thing. That's a narrative I've heard. I don't like reviewing every play because that in turns pace of play. And that would be an even bigger problem, I think, for the league. Right now in today's society, pace of play is so crucial that you don't want to make that a problem of your own too, while trying to fix the one you have with officiating. So I think one thing we'll see is maybe the sky judge, maybe a guy in the press box, a guy up top, that if a coach wants to challenge a play, and on that note, don't limit challenges and don't associate challenges with timeouts.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me is because I think coaches are scared sometimes to risk a timeout just because, well, maybe they'll overturn it, maybe not. That guy in the sky can be able to watch on a replay monitor on anything that the coaches want to challenge and either, almost like college football does in targeting, either confirm or deny it, overturn it. So the biggest key I think we'll see is more challenges being present, being available to coaches, and disassociating them with timeouts.
So you think the problem is not the officials, it's just not being able to review that? What you're saying?
You know, your average NFL official makes $250,000 a year for 16 NFL games.
Okay.
That's a crazy number right there. And you think if you only work 16 days a year, you should be able to get your job, right? Because the other 350 days you should be training or something at least.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the biggest thing. The NFL has to make sure that they're getting the majority of the right calls. You're not going to get all of them. Nobody will. It's human error. But get the majority, and the ones you miss, make it available to the head coaches to say, hey, I want to challenge that, and then you go over and correct yourself instead of, you know, the next business day putting out a memo from the NFLPA or the NFL office saying, yes, we missed that call.
Absolutely.
Too late now.
Yeah, like what's going to change now?
Yes.
The game's already done. They've already lost. It's honestly, I think it's better off they just don't say anything at all.
Right.
You know, stick
it's a
with
moot point.
Yeah. Well, moving on. We know the Nationals just clinched the NL pennant a couple days ago after sweeping the St. Louis Cardinals. As of right now, the Houston Astros still lead the Yankees 3-1 in the ALCS. But as far as the postseason goes for this year, what surprised you most this year? Obviously, I think the Nationals making the World Series is a big surprise, but I'll start with you, Connor. Anything else you'd like to add, or are you agreeing with me, I guess?
Go right off of what you're saying. The Nationals are definitely the biggest surprise of this year. I think that losing such an unbelievable player in Bryce Harper to the Phillies this offseason just is so depleting to a team. And
I think it helped them in the long run. Really.
Yeah, unbelievably, yeah. Now you look at it like this is the best thing that could ever happen. Yeah. But, I mean, to see them go on the run they went on, I don't think they were going to have a problem in the wild card game against Milwaukee, even though anything can happen in the wild card game. Let's not get that wrong. It's a one game, one in, one out type thing. But going in and beating the Dodgers, such a team that was so hot going into the offseason and really just, I mean, most people thought they could be a contender to be in the World Series against somebody like the Astros or Yankees. And so for the Nationals to get to the World Series, their first ever World Series, and beating a team like the Dodgers and then going in to sweep the St. Louis Cardinals is just absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, an unbelievable bullpen performance, and I just think that they're going to carry all the momentum they have right into the World Series, and they're going to take it from Yankees or Astros, doesn't matter.
I have to agree with you as well, but what do you think about that, Cade?
Yeah, win or lose for the Nats in the World Series, I think when years to come we look back at the 2019 Major League playoffs, you're going to say, wow, what a run the Nationals had. We're talking about a team that was 12 games under 500 midway through May. Like you mentioned, they don't have their superstar in town anymore. He's cross-division rival with Philadelphia and Bryce Harper. So you lose Bryce Harper, you lose your name, you lose your face, you lose your superstar. You're 12 games under 500. You're not looking good. Your pitching's beat up. Pretty much by that point, you're pretty much written off. And we don't declare World Series champions a month in, but by then we kind of have a general gist of things. Man, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And that's the biggest key for the Nationals so far this year. You go in and get the win over the Brewers. Now, they were without Yelich, their MVP guy. I understand that, but still give credit where credit is due. They got the win. Then you go in and beat the Dodgers, who was a lot of preseason picks to not only be in the World Series, but to bring home the trophy. So that was an impressive performance. And then you go against another red-hot team in St. Louis for the pennant, and not only do you beat them, but you sweep them 4-0. The biggest key for the Nationals moving forward is their pitching. That's going to be so much fun to watch in the World Series. And that's something we haven't had in recent years when we talk about offense. And for the Yankees, man, the power bats they have in the lineup, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton and company. But look at the Nationals, man. We got pitchers like Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburger, who's looking like Steven Strasburger of old almost. He was out here and then he kind of faded up and now he's back up. And other guys like Patrick Corbin, Anibal Sanchez, who took a no-hitter in 7 innings against St. Louis.
They had back-to-back seven no-hitting.
You got it, man. And it's just this pitching performance from this national staff is really, really carrying them. And right now, not to mention their bat's pretty hot too.
Yeah,
I think it's great for the league too, especially because the Nationals are kind of like a Cinderella team, and it's good for the sport because baseball is not talked about a lot, and that bugs me a little bit because all they're all talking about first take is football, which I can't blame them. But I hope the Astros do beat the Dodgers because then we'll see a good pitching matchup between two teams. The Astros pitching staff is also stacked as well with Garrett Cole playing lights out right now, and then we know Justin Verlander. And then they even got Zach Greinke over the year. So I think the Astros will pull it off. That game is being played later tonight. We'll see that going on. We are kind of running out of time, so we're going to have to move on to the next topic. So first, I want to talk about the few games we have this weekend on the NFL schedule. I'll start kicking off with the LA Rams taking on the Atlanta Falcons. The city of Atlanta has been through a lot lately. Obviously,
it's a tough one.
Yes, with the Braves losing 13-1 in Game 5 of the Cardinals. Let's talk about college sports here for a second. The Georgia Bulldogs lost to the South Carolina Gamecocks. That was a huge upset. And then obviously we saw the Falcons last week lost to the Cardinals. They came back. Matt Ryan had a heck of a game, but they missed the PAT. And they ended up losing, man. Like how could it be any worse than that? But so I'll start with the Rams and the Falcons. Who you guys got in this one?
I think it's tough to say you want Atlanta to do well. But I don't think they're beating the Rams this week. I think that a depleted defense that the Falcons has, and I think that Rams offense that wasn't playing too great last week. I think that Jared Goff is going to come in with a chip on his shoulder. I think that Sean McVay is in general coming in with a chip on that shoulder, and he's going to really push this offense to go and do what they got to do. Todd Gurley or not, I think they're going to put it in the hands of Jared Goff. I think Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are both going to have breakout games. Because they were held to, I think, both under 50 yards last week, and that is very uncommon, especially for a player like Cooper Kupp. So I'm taking the Rams in this one.
All right, what about you, Cade?
Yeah, I know for most Atlanta residents, they're probably thinking, when does the Hawks start playing basketball at this point? That's the biggest thing for them.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Rams. Give me LA. I think it's actually going to be a closer game, kind of like the 2017 range. Close game here.
I think so, too.
But the Dirty Birds, they're 1-5 on the year. I think the Dan Quinn experiment's kind of coming to a close in Atlanta. I think they're going to move on in the offseason. Their offense is great. You've got Matt Ryan, who threw for over 400 yards last week in losing effort. You've got guys like Devontae Freeman, who's quietly having a good year, and Julio Jones, his talent is among the best in the league.
Yeah.
Offensively, though, that's where they're struggling, and I think the Rams' offense is going to capitalize on that. Guys like Kupp, Woods, Goff, I think is going to go off and have a good day. Give me LA.
I think the Falcons right now are the best 1-5 team in the league. I mean, I don't know how
Probably.
they're 1-5.
That's very agreeable.
How
Yeah,
many
it's true.
offensive weapons they have, and they are still finding ways to lose these games. It's like you said, obviously that's why the Dan Quinn experiment is probably going to be ending pretty soon. But I will have to go with the Rams in this one as well. Like you said, I do agree it will be a close one. I do kind of hope for Atlanta to win just because of all the trauma they've been through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go with the Rams in this one. So our next game we have is the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Seattle Seahawks. This one will be in Seattle. I'll start with you, Cade. Who you got in this one?
You know, I think we're talking about two potential MVP candidates here, Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. I don't think we talk about Russell Wilson enough among one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the league, right behind Tom Brady. Russell Wilson is playing at an all-time high level right now, especially this season. They got Clowney recently that boosted up that 12th man defense too. And for Baltimore, you know, they bring in a guy like Marcus Peters coming in on the LA trade, but you also have guys like Earl Thomas in the secondary, Marlon Humphrey. They've got a solid secondary in Baltimore, and their offense. Lamar Jackson. I mean, come on. The guy's having an incredible year through the air and on the ground, and he is a quarterback, not a running back.
Right,
and he's making us know that. Great game. I'll take Seattle at home, though. The 12th man is real. Give me the Seahawks. Give me Russell Wilson.
And what about you?
Going right off with that, I think the 12th man is going to be the biggest factor in this game. I think that is going to rattle this Ravens team. I really do. I think it's going to be a high-scoring offensive game. I think it's going to be 31-24 Seattle. Give me it. But I agree. I think that the defenses are a bit depleted on both ends of the football, but these offenses are just gonna tear. I think Tyler Lockett is having a breakout season on the Seattle side of the ball, and I think he's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, you know, he's a little shorter, but he's faster, and he makes the catches when he needs to. I mean, that one catch when Russell Wilson scrambling out of the pocket, throws it to the back of the end zone, and Tyler Lockett's tiptoeing. I mean, that's just, you can't draw this stuff up. So I think it's going to be a great, great game, but just give me the Seahawks and the 12th man at home.
I'm going to have to actually disagree with you guys this one. I'm going to go Baltimore on this one. A few reasons. Pete Carroll actually has a history of not doing well against mobile quarterbacks. We saw last week against the Browns, right? Or was that 2 weeks ago? I'm not sure. But
I believe yeah,
okay.
Like that.
Anyways, Baker Mayfield, he did well against the Seahawks.
No, he did.
And Seahawks came back and won that game. But like I said, with that being that, and the Ravens' rushing offense, when you talk about winning football games, it all comes down to the running game. I mean, at least the most part. And the Ravens have that with Lamar Jackson. He led the ran for 150 yards last week.
Yeah,
and he actually is the first player to ever win the air and the ground player of the week in the same season.
That's nuts.
So he's being notified for his throwing abilities and his running abilities. And then obviously they have Mark Ingram too, former Heisman winner when he was back in the day.
Yeah, 2 Heisman winners on that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
there you go.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Ravens in this one. It's tough to go against Russell Wilson in Seattle, but they're 5-1. Ravens 4-2. I don't know. I just feel like I could go with Baltimore in this one. And then finally, our Sunday night game of the week, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This one should be a classic, as we always is. The NFC East showdown. Both teams 3-3. So this one technically is the NFC East championship as of right now, because the winner will take sole possession of the division. This one's in Dallas, though. I'll start with you, Connor. Who you got in this one?
This one's a tough one. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have to go with the Eagles, and it's not because I'm not confident in the Cowboys. I just feel that their momentum and Jason Garrett's just. I think Jason Garrett needs the boot. I really do. I think Jerry Jones just needs to finally take that step, because Jason Garrett's just not. He's not propelling them to the team that they could be. They have so much talent on that offensive side of the ball, and I mean, even that defense is incredible. I mean, they seriously they are like holding opponents to under 300 normally per game. It's unbelievable. I mean, these are low-scoring games that they're playing in. They're just not.
You're talking about the Eagles right now?
Oh, no, the Cowboys.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, no, the Eagles defense is.
Kirk Cousins is still like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, man.
Eagles secondary is having some problems. They really are.
Yeah.
But
so go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Trust me, that would have been a big catch. But yeah, so I have to go with the Eagles though. I think the Cowboys are just on the downfall right now. I think until Jason Garrett goes, they're never going to be the team that they could be. And I think Zeke needs to touch the ball as much as he can because Dak is kind of having a little iffy spirit right here, going after losing all these games in a row. So. Give me the Eagles on this one.
What about you, Cade?
It's tough seeing this Cowboys team that has so much talent. You mentioned defensively, guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith. The list goes on and on for them.
Oh, yeah.
And offensively, you've got one of the best backs in the league in Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper, who's one of the better receivers in the league. Got banged up last week. He expected to be a full go this week, though. And then Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott can be good on some days. It's kind of hit and miss with him, though.
Yeah.
The biggest factor here is Jason Garrett. I think the biggest thing that's holding the Cowboys back is their coaching. Been there 10 years now, and what does he have to show for it? We're up to this point, we're still saying the Cowboys, they're still not there. They're getting there. They got the talent to get there, but they're still not there. I think we see Jason Garrett go in the offseason. Doug Peterson, head coach of the Eagles, guaranteed a Philly victory this weekend. And
they haven't played the game yet, though, so we'll see.
They haven't played the game yet.
I don't know what he's talking about.
But I think he's going to be right. Cowboys have lost 3 straight. Got on that big 3-0 start against weak teams. They played some more competition. Now they're 3-3, tied for the top of the division, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's tough for me to pick Philadelphia as a resident Cowboys fan.
Okay.
But I will say this. Philadelphia's defense is not great. They get pressure on the quarterback, but they don't get sacks. I think they rattle Dak Prescott a little bit, though. I think the Eagles get the win in big Dallas, Texas.
I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys in this one. It's kind of odd. I didn't know you were a Cowboys fan. I'm also a Cowboys fan.
That works out.
But
there you go.
So you got 2 different ways going here. But, I don't know. I think the Cowboys, 3 games in a row now. I don't see them losing 4 in a row. I think they'll pick it back up home. They seem to always play well on prime time. I know they lost to New Orleans a few weeks ago. But especially the Eagles' defense. We saw what Kirk Cousins did last week. And we know what Dak and that offense can do right now. I think this is a game where Dak will bounce back and he will shine. They'll get the pieces back together. And Amari Cooper will be playing this week. He left the first quarter of last week's game a little banged up. So he should be back. And the Cowboys offense should definitely, I think, like a 28-24 kind of game is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's good.
That's fair.
And I think both teams need this win, obviously.
Badly.
And I feel like Doug Peterson already lost them the game just for saying that. Because we saw what Zach Brown said last week against Kirk Cousins, right?
That's true.
And then we saw what happened.
Yeah. He's no
and
longer on the team.
He's not on the team anymore. They cut him.
That was incredible. Wow.
But yeah, I'm just going to have to say that Doug Peterson might have jinxed the Eagles. And if he's right, then good for him. But we'll see. I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys this one. All right, and that's about all the time we have for today, guys. I could talk football with you guys all day if we could.
Yeah, trust me.
But yeah, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next week in Locker Room for more sports. Join us back here. Thanks a lot.